Accepted for value. Let me start off and say that I'm a teacher of the law of God, not a tax professional. However, I have found some success in the methods I'm about to show you. A while back, I purchased information from Jeff at Stop the Pirates. This was about 2 years ago. And from my purchase, I was very disappointed. First, half the zip files wouldn't open in the email that he sent. And second, for someone new to this understanding, the layout of how the information was sent was more like someone's reminder notes than a book to learn from. But Jeff, if you watch his videos, you can see the guy is clearly very smart and very knowledgeable in what he shows. And I am sure I could ask him a question and he would tell me, well, the answer to that question's on page 187 or something like that. But due to my lack of knowledge on the topic, I didn't understand what I was shown then. And there are many people that show what I'm about to show you online, and they state that they've been successful. And a few of those people, Jeff from Stop the Pirates actually recommends. So if anyone that is watching the video, if you know more information than me, please share. We're all in this together. And if you help your brother or sister, you help yourself. You bless others, then you'll be blessed. That's God's law. Okay, I'm going to show you some examples that worked for others in the accepted for value process. And I'm also going to show you a set-off transaction. This video will be on the Blue Logo channel for me, and I will have a link into the heading page on this video. I believe things are about to get very hard for people, and I'm hopeful through God's mercy that this information will help you and your families. Keep your home, keep your lights on, give you comfort and security through difficult times. Now, there are 3 things that you'll need to perform these methods. 1, you're going to need a red pen, red ink pen. 2, you're going to need a blue legal ink pen. And this is for contract signing. You can purchase these pens online or possibly at an Office Max store, but it needs to be a legal ink pen. 3, you will need to file a UCC-1 financial statement. Every time that we receive mail from a company, we are receiving contract proposals. Like when your mother signed your birth certificate, that was a contract by the state where she signed away rights to you, to the state. Now, you may not believe me on this, most people don't, but if you look for yourself, it's evident. This information is everywhere. Or when you sign a speeding ticket, you agreed to enter the contract that's offered to you. Now, if you were ever asked for your driver's license by a law enforcement official, this is very important information. First, of course, be respectful. You don't want to start trouble with them and get into an argument. But 2, you need to tell them this: I am aware that my driver's license is a negotiable instrument. I do not wish to enter into any contracts with you. Therefore, I do not speak to strangers. Your driver's license, when you hand that over to them, you're saying, okay, I want to enter into a deal with you. Okay, so what you do, you tell them, again, I am aware that my driver's license is a negotiable instrument. I do not wish to enter into any contracts with you. Therefore, I do not speak to strangers. They ask you again, be very blunt. I do not speak to strangers. If they ask again and the law enforcement officer demands your license, you give them the license and say, I give this to you, my license, under duress. I do not wish to enter into any contracts with you. And of course, refuse to sign anything. If they force you to sign, be sure to put a V period, C period before you sign your name, and put the V period, C period above your name too. This goes back to an ancient Roman meaning under duress. And like the magistrate courts, where you go to court for your sentencing or your punishment, a magistrate has the same name as it did back in ancient Rome. Because most people don't know this, however, we are still under that same Roman rule today. And you can see it with your eyes when you enter into a courthouse. You walk in, you see outside or inside or both, you see the Roman gods. If you know my videos, or if you know Romans 16, the Roman gods are Lucifer. You're entering into the house of Lucifer. And, so these ancient terms are still in effect today because it's ancient Rome that you're dealing with. And when you get those contracts from Lucifer, you got to know where your contracts are coming from and how to handle them. And while I'm on this topic, if you ever do get arrested and the police officer is reading your rights and ask you, do you understand these rights? You say no. Why? Well, they probably will get mad, but you say no because by saying yes, you are admitting guilt. The legal system has a different language that is meant to trick us. The language is called legalese, the language of the courts. There is a dictionary that offers the terms of legalese that's called the Black's Law Dictionary. I own a copy. However, I looked at it twice, maybe. But if you need a definition looked up, I can help you. But anything further than that, I know little to nothing about. The whole legal system, again, is Lucifer offering you contracts. The police are here to serve and protect the people. And however, you consider yourself a person, as I do, but however, if you have a birth certificate, you are a citizen, not a people of the United States. Very important that you know that. We are citizens, not the people. And again, never say yes to understanding your rights. Again, it is legalese, and you are admitting guilt. It's not like, oh, do you understand this? No, you're saying, yes, I am guilty to committing this crime, officer. That's what you're saying. Be aware of that. And also, never, ever allow them to fingerprint you. Never allow them to take a picture of you. And try not to sign anything. But if you feel forced to sign, then sign only with a V period, C period above and before your signature. I have heard stories before that felony charges were dropped they were placed on someone by using this method. They held them for 3 days and then released them. But hopefully, God willing, none of us face arrest and have to use this. But if we do, make sure you do it this way. And remember, never speak to them because you're not an expert on legalese. Stay silent when you deal with law enforcement. Only say what you have to. I don't speak to strangers, and say, I am aware that my contract is a negotiable instrument. I do not wish to enter into any contracts with you. Therefore, I do not speak to strangers. Okay, you get a red pen and a Blue Eagle ink pen. Now, here is how to fill out a UCC1 financial statement. All we need is a statement filed because you need to get that number. Now, you can mail in a physical copy or do it online. Mail-in cost in New York State is $40. An online application is $20. So in whatever state it goes up to about $65. And if you do it online, it's usually about half of the cost. And here is how I filled out my application. Short, sweet, simple. Again, all we need is that number. UCC1. Only fill in what you are required to fill in. The top is your email address. They will send you a confirmation to your email, and your credit card information goes in there as well. That's all you fill in the top part. The next section, put your full name, all capital letters, first, middle, and last. For the street address, put the address of the hospital where you were born, where your mother signed your birth certificate. that hospital there, where you were born, where the birth certificate was signed. This is the straw man, because at the signing of the birth certificate, you were legally dead. The secured party is you. Give your information. Not in all capital letters, but just write it normally. The second red is for additional people, so you don't need to fill that in. The bottom, where you can put a note, write all property belonging to the debtor is a trust. Short, sweet, quick, and simple. And check in on those bottom. Check in that you are a trustee, because that's what you want to become, a trustee for this trust and this person. You're acting on their behalf, acting on behalf of the dead man. Basically, this instrument is a document stating that you are a live person acting on a dead person's behalf. Then, at the very bottom, what you're going to do is press File, and you will receive an ID number. It's a 15-digit number. You turned your all capital letters name into an account number owned by the owners of your birth certificate. If you ever heard, I am not a number, I am a free man. Well, the thing about it is that, yes, they are a number. Okay, you are a number. We are all numbers. Our names go into numbers. This goes into the Bible, as I'll get into. All right, this next bit of information that you'll need to obtain is the bank's routing number. Now, here are the banks of the Federal Reserve. How to find your bank is like this. If you have a birth certificate before 2000, on the document, there will be a letter before a string of numbers. That letter won't be on birth certificates later than 2000, but before 2000, it's there. And that same letter will be on the back of Social Security cards before a string of numbers. But if you have a Social Security number before 2000, you will not have a letter. Only Social Security numbers printed after 2000 have a letter on them. So to find your bank, you need a birth certificate before 2000 or a Social Security card after 2000. The letter on your Social Security card or on your birth certificate shows what bank owns you. I am owned by the Reserve in San Francisco, L. What does it mean we are owned? Federal Reserve owns our bodies, but not our souls. And recently someone asked me about clones. And I told them the explanation of the clones comes from Genesis after the death of Jacob, also known as Israel. God renamed Jacob Israel in the Bible. Also, two other books, Exodus and Numbers. So it's Genesis after the death of Israel, Exodus and Numbers. And this is what the cloning is about. All right, Jacob, renamed by God Israel, had 12 children, and his children had children. After Israel's death, God ordered his children into captivity. A small group, maybe 100 or so, went into captivity. They stayed in captivity 430 years. And then came out led by Moses, and they were then called the Israelites. Israelites, that there was many of them now. Each of Israel's 12 children and their families remained in captivity for 430 years and came out Israelites. Hundreds of thousands of men from each child came out of captivity to enter into wars led by Moses. So in 430 years, you think every 20 years a generation, even if they had 10 kids, there's no way possible that they would come up with these astronomical numbers. And you see in other God's books like the Quran, it says we made men, the mankind in the Bible were multiplied like the stars. That's what happened. Who are the clones? We are the clones. And if you read Exodus and Numbers closely, look for the ages of death, and you will see fathers and sons fought in the same wars together, and they died at exactly the same age. So a father and son at the same age in the same war. It's all in the books of Moses. And the books of Moses are the first 5 books of the Bible. And that is also the Torah. The Torah is written out a little differently, but it goes over the same exact topics and gives you some big answers to things that you would miss by just simply reading the Bible. Okay. All right. We are the clones. Our bodies were made by them. The number of man is 666. What does that mean? That means 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. This is why we get old and die. Our souls are trapped in the flesh. Job of the Bible has clear understanding of this, as you see in the scripture. So, the Federal Reserve owns our bodies. Our mothers signed over our bodies to the state, not our soul. Okay? The world's financial system isn't based on gold like it was prior to the crash in 1929. The system is based on the flesh and souls of mankind. So when the stock market crashes, we will be collected and taken to the bank that owns us. Like defaulting on a car payment, the bank would repossess your car. The Federal Reserve will be collecting their collateral, our bodies. So does this sound crazy? I bet. The Bible is pure madness, and we are in a terrible place. But this is why the accepted for value works. There's a trust, a bond that is based on our bodies and our souls. And by accepted for value, we access that trust by operating as a trustee. And that's what I'm going to show you here.
I'm a clone. I'm good and I'm fine. I'm running more of the way. I'm the ship doctor. He's on the line. We'll take incubation another day. I'm all alone, so are we all. We're all clones. All are one and one are all. All are one and one are all.
Okay, how could I resist? Alice Cooper, we are all clones. Do I think that we are just the clones, that they don't clone themselves? No, I think they do that as well. I think it's all types of everything as crazy as you could possibly imagine it. That's how it goes. And some of you may find that troubling. However, Jesus is coming for us with a great gift, so great that our human minds couldn't even begin to grasp it. So please make sure that you are worthy of the reward. Obey the law of God. Okay, on to the redemption process. Once your UCC1 is filed and you have a red ink pen and a blue fraud-proof ink pen, legal ink, we can redirect these contracts back to them. Make sure that in the whole process that you keep a ledger of all that you do. Take notes, dates, names. Take pictures of documents that you send to them. Email the pictures to yourself for a time and date stamp. And every document you send, be sure to have them signed for tracking, dates, and confirmation that it was received. So you have the pictures, everything. You have your 15-digit UCC number and your bank account's routing number from your birth certificate or social security number. And accepted for value, exempt from levy. You write that on their documents at a 45-degree angle in red, accepted for value, exempt for levy. Notice in this image here the rollover month to month, like a utility bill, and the accounts that you're looking to close, like an old bill, right in settlement and closure on the old one to end the contract. This slide here, notice the exemption number. That is your UCC 115 digit number. That's like an account number. Then you got the bank's routing number. Again, that's the letter on your birth certificate or social security number that goes back to the Federal Reserve. And the bond number. The bond number is your social security number. That's kind of like your street address, who you are. This slide shows the 45-degree tilt. It can be either way, but it must be 45 degrees. Okay, on we go to, all right, you have the red pen, accepted for value, exempt from levy, paid to the order of, full name, caps. Then you go to your blue legal ink pen, and you sign your name and date it. Then your bank account number, of course, again, is your UCC1 filing. Then the ABA routing number is the Federal Reserve Bank routing number. Then the address, the bond number, who you are, your social security number, with dashes and without dashes. And put a disclosure on there, and I'm going to read that disclosure. If this statement is not returned within 5 business days from the signed date of delivery, then it will be constituted as acceptance of contract for my negotiable instrument as legal tender, and I am entitled to the benefits thereof. Many people were successful by putting that disclosure on there because you're giving them a date. When you do give them a date, just like if you don't pay this by the 15th, they give you a date, you're going to receive a $30 penalty. And if you don't write back, then you're going to get that $30 penalty, and this is what you're doing. Okay, now here's the accepted from value. This is how it should be written. This is the 45-degree angle. Do the same thing. The only thing different, you're going to use your exemption ID, but you're going to put their banking account information there instead of deposit to United States Treasury. Next, this is the back of the voucher. Be sure to put your name and sign it on the back of it, just like you would a check, because that's the same exact thing that you're making it into. All right, so accepted for value, it pays things like the gas, electric, water, and others. The revolving debt, the month-to-month payments. Set off transactions pays things like student loans, mortgages, old credit cards, and others. I used to set off to pay my mortgage. And a set off, first thing that you'll need for that is a closed personal checking account. So the bank closed an account on you. Great. Get the information, and then you can pay your bills. Next, what you're going to need for this one is that blue fraud-proof ink. You can't use any other ink on there. Don't just use blue ink. You need the fraud-proof ink. We're dealing with a different type of entity, okay? And they'll look for anything to get you. And be sure that you have that fraud-proof ink, because then it could be constituted as bank fraud. So make sure you have the right stuff. You got to get this fraud-proof ink. All right, for a set-off, again, you do not write in red at all. Why? Because what you're doing is an electronic fund, or the reason for the blue is you can't have any non-legal ink. It has to be fraud-proof, but let me go into this. What you're doing is electronic funds transfer, or a bank wire only. This cannot be run as an ACH. An ACH is a normal checking transaction. It can't be. It has to be run as a bank wire, or it will not work. And again, all of it has to be in the blue legal ink. That's the fraud-proof ink on their document. And you put that right at the top. No ACH, EFT only, bank wire. I put down the 1978 Electronic Funds Transfer Act. And then after that, account to be debit, put your name, all capital letters. Then you enter in your closed checking account routing number After that, your closed checking account number. Then you put your street address, and then you print your name, normal, not all caps, but normal. Then underneath your name, you're going to sign it, V period C period, and sign your name both sides of the bill, and remember it at a 45-degree angle. And when you do sign your name, be sure to put it on both sides. I've signed both sides of the bill. Put that VC before, above, below, and to the right of it, just to be sure. And then I also put on this disclosure. As a citizen of the United States, I am using this remedy to offset this debt. And then you put that second one, if not addressed within 5 business days, and if the statement is not returned within 5 business days from the signed date of delivery, then it will be constituted as acceptance of contract for my negotiable instrument as legal tender, and I am entitled to the benefits thereof. And what you'll receive from the bank is an acknowledgement letter. Be sure to hold on to that acknowledgement letter, because they will say, oh, it didn't go through, or they'll give you a tough time, and they will in most of these. Be sure to stand your ground, okay, because this process does work. All right, next we're going on to the envelope and where the contract is going. Here is how your envelope will look. You put attention CFO. What is a CFO? A CFO is a chief financial officer, made of a CEO, which is a chief executive officer. But that's how you put it. On here it has priority confidential. What it says, where I read on a couple other parts, they say to put that at a 45-degree angle, and I do the attention CFO in a 45-degree angle. Now, when you're looking this stuff up, like I was looking up for the chief financial officer of Veolia Water, and they are in Europe. So what I would do is I'd go for the corporate office here in North America, and send it off to them. Put attention CFO or acting party on the document if you don't get the actual person themselves, or like I said, if they're out of the country. All right, and this goes over everything that you should do. Make sure that you don't use their envelope. Get a new one for yourself, and send it over just like as it appears. Again, keep a ledger, dates, take pictures of documents, and of course, make them sign for everything. Well, making them sign for everything, you're going to have to go to the post office. I know that they have postage on demand on the internet that you can get an account with. It's a little bit cheaper for every document that you send, and it has the convenience that you could do it from right at home. Or if not, sometimes when you go to the post office too for addresses to make sure you got a verified address, they will verify them for you there too. So it could be beneficial either way. But once you got everything going on, you know what you're doing, I suggest using postage on demand. Okay, now if these processes, they still come back and they say, hey, we're not paying you, well, then we're going to make them validate the debt, validation of the debt. Okay, here we go. This is a letter. It's a short, quick, sweet letter. It's 2 pages, this one and the next, and just put in all the information. You send it over to the same place, and you make sure that they verify the debt. If they don't verify the debt, also put that disclosure on there. If it's not responded to within 5 business days, make sure you protect yourself in that manner. And what they'll do is either they'll respond or they won't. If they won't, then they can't validate the debt. Next is the second, it would be the third step, but validation of the debt and presentation of the law right out. And this is these documents here. You go through, and this is 5 total pages. You copy the pages and send it off to them. I've never had to get to this point yet, more than likely, right after you do the acceptance for value, you won't hear from the company for a while. But and some of these, like I said, with the mortgage at work, the other ones, some of them are up in the air yet. So each company is going to handle it differently. So be prepared for that. And again, stand your ground with everything. But it's how it worked for me. And hopefully it works for all of us, keeps our lights on when times get tough. Or, whatever the case is, if you need to use it, make sure you do. If you have any questions or need any more information, please contact me. And of course, if you know more than me, please, and you took these steps already, please put it down in the notes and help each other out. God bless you.
All right, hey everyone, Jeff here at StopThePirates.blogspot.com. Hope everybody's doing good. So, electronic funds transfer. What is it and how does it work? Well, there is no money to pay anything with anyway. In these current situations, if you have a mortgage and it looks like your income is going to dry up, this is one remedy that I would use if it was my situation. I'm not recommending that you do it, but I'll leave a link down below. Kind of basically explains it. It's very simple. It's easy to do. You'll need to set up a closed account for the electronic funds transfer. The EFT is a set-off transaction. It must be written on a closed personal bank account only, checking account. And it must be clearly directed that it is an EFT transaction, not an ACH, automated clearinghouse transaction. So if you call your mortgage company and you say, hey, I want to pay off my mortgage, I want a 10-day payoff, and I want to do an electronic funds transfer, they will send you a form to fill out to do that. And you specifically want to know that it's an electronic funds transfer. And you first get your checking account, Black's Law Dictionary 6th edition closed account, an account to which no further additions can be made on either side, but which remains open for adjustment and set off, which distinguishes it from an account stated. All these checking accounts that you open are accounts through the Federal Reserve Bank. The account routing number on the bottom of the check is going to be routed not to Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or Chase. It's going to be routed to one of the 12 Federal Reserve banks. If you look at the back of your Social Security card, there's a letter. That's going to distinguish which one it is. And over your lifetime, you can open 10 checking accounts, and they don't close, they remain open. So you can do set-offs with it. You must open a bank account and close it. All closed bank accounts are not closed by the bank. In the definition of closed account, above the term side means public and private side, and it refers to a bank's accounting ledger. If you do not understand public versus private, look into that first. And if you feel you need to ask your bank how all this works, I wouldn't proceed at all. But there's been documented proof that this actually works. So, and the key is in the follow-up and making sure. A lot of people, what they'll do, they'll be surprised how quickly it works, and then they'll actually get a check back from the bank from your they set up a what's the word I'm looking for, escrow account for your taxes and insurance. And if you're paid up on your taxes and insurance, they'll send you a check back, which is awesome. Now, extreme times call for extreme measures. So you can either sit back and let them take your house, which they're going to do. A lot of people think, well, I lost my job because of the coronavirus, and the country shut down everything worldwide, and they wouldn't do that to me. Bullshit. That's what they can't. They're licking their chops right now, waiting to buy things up pennies on the dollar. That's what they do. That's what they did in the 29 crash. That's what they're going to do this time. They're going to put you out on the street and put you into, I don't know. I don't want to scare people, but fuck, it's going to get ugly. The EFT transaction and ACH are two entirely different things. if the bank runs the instrument through as an ACH, which is the automated clearinghouse, which some people have done using the account number and routing number on the back of their Social Security card as an ACH, that will work. But they usually reverse the transaction after about 10 days. So, I mean, you can see where you could gain some advantage there. The transaction will be reversed automatically. Remember the definition of a closed account. Can the bank run it through as anything but a set-off? If this happens, who is in the wrong? You or the bank. That makes sense, right? You can EFT your public debt or someone else's public debt, which is how a lot of people do it. This type of transaction is not recommended for open accounts like cell phones, electric bills, etc. And it has worked on taxes, student loans, credit cards, car loans, child support, and public debt in general. And the secret to the success is the follow-up. You want to make sure it goes through. And they'll tell you over the phone. You can call whoever you're dealing with at your servicing company. I'm going to leave a link to 2 articles on stopthepirates.blogspot.com down below. One has a little video on it, which has a testimonial of someone who's done this. And the guy did it for his son, and it worked, and they sent him a check back. So desperate times call for desperate measures. We're not going to sit here and lay down. We know this is their whole fiat money system is a scam. They can't do anything without us. They're coming for your house. They're going to take everything you got. You might as well do what you can to stay afloat. And if enough people do this, we got a damn good chance of catching them with their fucking pants down. Go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. Thanks.